This was insane to witness. The New York Knicks come back down 17 points in the fourth quarter on Christmas Day in Madison Square Garden and defeat the Cleveland Cavaliers by a score of 126-124. The whole world was watching. We're going to get to the game and break it down in its entirety. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Poppa Left. I am the host of Your Knicks. Make sure you like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel so we can get this content out to Knicks fans like you. I've started the last 10 episodes the same exact way. This starting lineup ain't it. They've given up 30-plus points at minimum in each of those games, and they've left the first quarter tied or without a lead. And I got news for you. It's been without a lead except one game against the Philadelphia 76ers, which we lost. So, yes, this team is winning. They're humming along. The winning record is great. They're 21-9. I'm going to get to the rest of the game, which was fantastic and had a lot of highlights. It fired me up as a Knicks fan. It saved our Christmas together as Knicks Nation, and it was a great day for us. But this starting lineup is underperforming. And unless you're talking about seniority or creatures of habit, there's no basketball reason why this is the best starting five. In fact, this five is never out there to close the games. It is a lineup that's out there as a habit, and then they get better rotations in the game, and they make little tweaks here and there. Sometimes it might just be one player. But again, there's a reason why this starting lineup isn't doing well. Number one, Josh Hart spacing in the half court. It is easy to defend the Knicks. You put a center on Josh Hart. He roams in the paint. He blocks off dribble drives. You put a wing on Karl Anthony Towns. You already know the first quarter is designed for Jalen Brunson to get going. So now you're compromising your all-star big, and he's out of the game in 6 minutes or 3 minutes with 2 fouls. And by the way, I know a lot of this is on Josh Hart. Karl Anthony Towns picking up 2 fouls as a habit in the beginning of these games is pathetic. He cannot do that, especially after Mike Brown calls him out for it on the press conference. You know, we always talk about hold your players accountable. Well, now Mike Brown has held him accountable. Karl Anthony Towns has to keep his hands up and cannot get in early foul trouble. It's ruining the first quarter of these games. And I'll be honest, the Knicks have won a lot of these games. They went through the NBA Cup. They lost against the Sixers. They lost against the Timberwolves. They were a little, compromised against the Timberwolves. But again, the Knicks haven't been playing perfect, excellent basketball in these last stretch of games. And there'll be people who will say, we are 12-3 with this starting. That doesn't matter to me. It doesn't make a good case. You cannot tell me we are down at the end of first quarters. We are not playing well and we have to fight back. And that's your recipe to success. Why? There is no basketball reason why this starting five should be together. They have a historic net negative, despite the fact that at the end of November and the beginning of December, by way of injury of OG Anunoby and Landry Shamet, that they've been put back together. Look, I'm rooting for them. I'll say I'm wrong if they continue to just win in spite of it. But that's the operative word in that sense. They are winning in spite of that starting lineup, and they don't finish games. They make tweaks and they find a better collection of five. So again, you put the center on Josh Hart. He roams into the lane. It blocks off dribble drives. It's too easy to defend the Knicks, and we have too much talent to be putting that product out on the floor. So the Knicks found themselves down 20-5 in that first quarter. Darius Garland was going wherever he wanted, and the Knicks got saved again by Jalen Brunson, a 4-point play. 20-5, he hits a 4-point play. It's a flagrant. They get the ball back. Diawara had a bucket. He had a 3. Clarkson had a 3, and the Knicks cut the lead to 6. And then Mike Brown took out, again, Mikal out of the game, put Diawara on Garland, and Diawara did not have a good defensive performance on Garland, but I want to highlight his player profile. The fact that Mike Brown trusts him to guard a point guard in pick and roll actions, that is going to pay off in great benefit to the Knicks in the future for this kid and for the franchise, that they trust him, at least player profile wise, to guard 1 through 4, 1 through 5. That is impressive. He didn't do a good job at it, but I'll tell you this, he did no worse than anybody else did on Darius Garland in the first quarter and for the majority of the game. But Mikal kicked it up against Darius Garland and led the Knicks back into the second quarter, which is where I'm going to get to. Mikal Bridges' defense on Darius Garland in that second quarter was amazing. The Knicks went on a 24-3 run in that second quarter. And again, spurred on by Tyler Kolek, getting other guys involved. He had 7 assists. He was a plus 15 in that second quarter. And he got guys loose, Mikal Bridges getting a dunk, OG Anunoby getting a 3. Karl Anthony Towns came back into the game, and to his credit, he came back in with 2 fouls. He left the half with 2 fouls. He was aggressive. He's one of the few guys on the floor that, his efficiency going downhill isn't great. His looks going downhill isn't the most aesthetic to the eye, but he's one of those guys that at least collapses the defense and gets into the paint. And the Knicks sometimes get into a habit of shooting so many threes, and they have a habit of shooting themselves out of the game and shooting themselves out of the ethic of their offense. There's supposed to be an offense that goes down and sprays, not just goes east and west and gets denied all day and shoots at the end of the clock, which is pretty much what that starting unit does. But again, they came back. It was a miraculous comeback. They were up 60-58, I believe, at the end of the half. It might have been a different score, but they were up by 2. Josh Hart hits a 3 at the end of the half, and the Knicks go up by 2. And I'm thinking, hey, starting lineup, get into the locker room, have some pride. You saw that your bench unit came back into this game. Jordan Clarkson, by the way, tremendous. And he's kicked it up on defense as well. He had a pickpocket. He had a couple threes to start the second quarter. Don't want it to be lost. The second best plus-minus player for the Knicks was Jordan Clarkson. So let me back up a second and give him his credit, because he was phenomenal, not just in the first half, but in the second half as well. And Mike Brown's been doing a great job of picking his spots with Jordan Clarkson. And I've been a guy that's been really critical on Jordan Clarkson this year. I've been saying he's been a cone on defense. He hasn't been. Now he's really getting up into the body. He's taken a lot of pride in that, and that's been a testament to the Knicks team when guys have gone down this year, especially OG, especially Deuce McBride. The Knicks have even Mitchell Robinson here and there getting time off. The Knicks have understood that they cannot compete without stepping up their individual weaknesses. And there are players on this team, whether it be Clarkson, Brunson, Cat, that are not known as their good defenders, but they have done a good job. So I want to stop and make sure Jordan Clarkson gets his credit, because I will be the first person to criticize a player, and he deserves it from me, at least, to hear that he's done a good job. But again, the starting lineup, they've done things like layup lines out of the half. It's not ethics. It's not that these guys don't want to play hard. It's not energy. They are suffocated into a half-court game, and they don't get good looks up. The other team is getting good looks up, and we're giving up points. We're not able to set up our defense because we're not getting makes, and that's why they're not that good together. It's not like, hey, they got to, play with pride. I'm thinking play with pride. There's nothing they can do. And I'd be the first one to say I'm happy to be wrong, but that starting lineup ain't it. It really is not. But the Knicks, again, found themselves down by double digits again. And at the end of the third quarter, it was Jalen Tyson, their young player for Cleveland. He was getting putbacks. He was hitting threes. Big-time performance from him. I thought he was one of their best players. And the Knicks were down 15. They came out in the fourth quarter chucking up a bunch of shots. And I was just like, all right, a lot of coquito, I guess, a lot of eggnog, a lot of, home vibes. Didn't look like a serious effort from the Knicks. And they just kept themselves enough in the game. And Josh Hart at 107-93, I thought he had a good couple drives in this game where he caught it off the catch and driving into the paint. That's a move that he's done pretty well over the course of this season. And he got fouled at 107-93. He stays on the floor to hit the 2 free throws. He leaves with an ankle injury. The Knicks then go to the 3-guard lineup of Brunson, Kolek, and Clarkson, and they were able. Brunson gets a 3 to cut it to 9. Kolek gets a 3 to cut it to 6. Clarkson gets a 3 again to cut it to 5, and then Kolek gets a 3 to cut it to 2. And all of these threes were assisted by Mitchell Robinson dominating his son Jared Allen. It's very good on Christmas to spend time with your family. And Mitchell Robinson made sure that Jared Allen wasn't alone on Christmas. He spent time with his child. It was really nice to see. It could have made a Christmas movie about it over the last 3 to 4 years about Mitchell Robinson raising Jared Allen in such a tough society. The world is very here and there. There's diseases, there's wars, there's all types of things that are going on in the world that are out of your control. But Mitchell Robinson has just consistently been there for Jared Allen as a father. And, it's inspiring to me. It's inspiring to all men out there, man. I just, if you're thinking about life goals, just watch Mitchell Robinson in the paint with Jared Allen. It's something that, inspires you as a man. But yeah, the Knicks, I'm serious. He's his father, man. It's Luke. He is, you know what I mean? But the Knicks were down 2. Got out of timeouts. The Knicks were down 117-113 at one point. Brunson gets the help off. Mitchell tries to help off Brunson. Kolek makes him play, does the little Zoidberg. I don't know what this is. I call it the Zoidberg because Zoidberg had the little, Futurama, whatever. Anyways, I'm fired up. Knicks are down 1. Then Kolek gets a steal on Donovan Mitchell, who goes for a windmill dunk. And Kolek swipes the ball, gets the ball first. The refs originally called it a foul. They went into review. They reversed the call, and Kolek ended up getting the loose ball off of a volleyball tap. And by the way, Tyler Kolek should get a volleyball commercial. I'm throwing that out there into the ether, into the atmosphere. Get that man a Wilson volleyball commercial. Put him on a sand beach and have him do a couple spikes and a couple saves, because that's become a patented move for him in the loose ball. And he's a small guy on the court. I know Knicks fans like to be like, he's 6'2", he's 6'3", he's too small, he's 6'3", we're too small. And I get that. I totally get that from a basketball perspective. But at the end of the day, he's 6'3", getting all these rebounds. And he tipped the ball out. He collected the loose ball. He passed it ahead of Mikal Bridges. We went up 118-117. Garland comes back on the other end, gets a layup, 119-118. And then Jalen Brunson does what Jalen Brunson does in the fourth quarter and hits shots that a lot of basketball purists might be going, no. Yes, I know I do on a lot of the shots, but at this point, he's clutch. You cannot question his process in the fourth quarter, because a lot of these shots end up going in and killing teams. And the Knicks went up 121-19. They get another stop. The Knicks get the ball on the other end. Tyler Kolek misses a shot. Karl-Anthony Towns swoops in from the baseline, gets a nice putback jumper off the rebound. And the Knicks do what they do to the Cavs, which is punish them late and get rebounds off the glass. And eventually the Knicks ended up closing the game. I'm not going to get into too much of that as we're winding down with time here. But, Tyler Kolek, man, he was a team high plus 24. Whatever role he's going to have with this team, it's going to be very interesting to see how many minutes he gets when Deuce McBride and Landry Shamet comes back. It makes Leon Rose's job a little difficult. It makes Mike Brown's job a little difficult. How do the Knicks finesse their roster and their depth? Do they decide to just let everything stand pat at 10, 11 guys deep and go into the playoffs with that amount of depth? Or do they decide to make a marginal upgrade and go 2 for 1? I could tell you this, and we haven't heard his name in a long time in Knicks Nation, but we're getting at the time frame where they said a resolution would be made. I think after the NBA Cup, after the Knicks winning on Christmas, the vibes, don't rule out Giannis pressuring Milwaukee to get him to New York. Do not rule that out. I'm telling you right now, the Knicks, as far as their value goes, guys like Cat, Deuce, Kolek, who played in Marquette in Wisconsin. Telling you, man, I don't know if people don't want to hear that, but, don't let a couple wins take away from the fact that the Knicks might have made it easier for themselves to acquire a generational star in Giannis. So that's that. Knicks' next game is against Atlanta. They got a couple games on the road, Atlanta, New Orleans, and San Antonio before we close the year. I hope everybody's doing well during this holiday season. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, and continue a great 2025. This is your Knicks.